Hey friends, let's go over pivot tables. And in the event you're not in the lab and have to do this on your Chromebook as practice, we are going to make sure that we use actual Excel and not Google. Okay, so on the handout, if you click on it, it's going to open it up in this Google Doc. So you're going to need to download the document as an Excel document like so, and then get into Microsoft OneDrive, which is an account you'll need to sign up for if you don't have one, and you put it in there. So you just hit upload and put it up in there. Okay, so signing up for this is free, and you can work on these Excel documents in here. So the SAM projects won't work, but the other things that aren't going to be graded by the book you can do in here. So here's our sample data, and I've clicked on it, and it opens it up in here. And then we're just going to kind of go through, and I'm going to show you how to create these. But I really want you to try to do it on your own, just so that you can see it's really not that difficult. Or watch the video and then go back and do it without doing exactly what I tell you, because I want you to try to figure it out on your own. Okay, so what a pivot table is basically taking the information that's in a spreadsheet. So this is a lot of information, and then it's sorted sort of by, like, here's locations, here's dates, here's months, and so we can basically take this information and pivot it if there's things that are common. So like, it's kind of like grouping stuff, and we can count stuff or we can sum stuff, and we don't have to use any formulas or anything. It's super easy and super cool. So for dual credit, this is one of the biggest things that business people want you guys to know how to do. Okay, so the first one is going to have, the rows are going to be months, and then we're going to have the units sold. So the first step you're going to do is you're going to be clicked in your table. And if you're on the actual computer, you would have a place where you could name the table. But on this browser-based one, you can't. So here's my table. I'm going to click on creating a pivot table. And it says select the table or the range. It should automatically highlight everything because it just does that automatically. I think it's got it all in there. I don't know how many rows this is. It's a bunch of stuff, though. It's like months all the way through like October. So hopefully if I keep going, I'll run out of months here eventually. There we go, through October. So you're going to hit OK, and we're going to put it in a new worksheet, so it'll put it down here at the bottom. And this is what it looks like when you start creating a pivot table. Basically, you cannot mess this up. So you're going to drag the fields, and these are the fields from the actual sheet. So that's the fields. If we go up to the top here, that's what these are. Transaction, location, date, it's all those fields. So on this example, we want to have the months as the rows and then the total units sold. Now, here's the problem. We don't know whether to use date or whether to use month. So if I drag date to be my rows, I get all of these. Well, if you look at our example, that's not going to work. That's not what it looks like. It's not a big deal. You just hit remove. So I'm going to put my months in there. All right, so I did that, and it put it in. Now, I will tell you, I don't know why, but when I did this example in here, for whatever reason, March 31st gets put in with April. So don't stress too much as long as your grand total is correct about what this says here. All right, so we have our months, and then we want to have our total units sold. So we look at units sold, and if we're doing math, it goes here. If we just want it to be like headings across the top, just like this is headings down here, we would drag it to columns. But if we want values, we drag it here. So if we want to do math, and we want to go total units sold. So I'm going to drag it into values. It automatically adds them up. And again, they're going to be a little bit off because of the way, I don't know why, but because of the way this program adds things up. But you should get the grand total of 1666, which is correct. And then that's pretty much all it is. I mean, that's it for the first one. And yeah, that's basically the extent of it. You can like I said, you can't mess this up. So if you're not sure about something, just delete it and put in other stuff. You know, like I said, I could put dates in here. I could go in here into dates, and I could do other things with it. See, here it is by day. It shows me exactly what day things are going to happen. Or I could say like, okay, what kind of items? And you put those, and then it's car racks and headlamps and how many were sold on each day. So you literally can't mess it up. You just drag them wherever they need to go. Okay, So that was the example of the first one. The second one is sales by location. And so on this one, the rows are going to be our places. So we go in here and we're like, locations are going to be the rows. And we get Chicago, Nashville, San Francisco. And then we're totaling up the sales. So since we're doing math, we drag it to values. We drag total down to values, and bam, we have those in there. Now, it doesn't say what we want it to say, and it's not in dollars. So to change those are all about values. So I can click on here and go to the very bottom option, Value Field Settings, and I can change the word. So for instance, in this one, total sales is what it's supposed to say. And we are summing, so that part is correct. So I'm just going to hit OK. There are other things too. You can show your value as percentages and all of this different stuff too. But here we just want to do that. And then you could make this to currency if you were in the other version of Excel, if we were on an actual computer. But it's not an option on this watered down version. So putting the dollar signs in there is a little bit more, I mean, you got to just go up in here and put your dollar signs on stuff. Because it won't let you do it through the pivot chart. But usually you can come here and under value field settings, you could choose to show them in currency format. Okay, so there's the example of the second one. And again, you can leave this one here and name it and then come back in here and insert another pivot table. So for the next one, I'm going to, it's items by location. So we hit OK. And our first thing is that we want the items as our rows. So backpacks and all of that stuff are our rows. And then going across the top are our locations, Chicago and so forth. So I'm going to take locations and these will become our columns. So those are in there like so. But right now there's no numbers in here because it doesn't know what to do. What are we looking at? Well, we're going to look at the total number that were sold on each of these. So we drag it into values. Now that's going to be a sum, so these are actual money amounts. But that's actually not what this one's looking for. It's looking for how many we sold. So I'm going to delete that one. And let's look at our units that are sold. And these are going to be numbers more similar to what you'll see on the example. So this is how many backpacks were sold in San Francisco, 22. And that's how you would do that one. The last item that you would be creating in here would be a pivot chart. Unfortunately, in the online version, I haven't been able to find a way to do a pivot chart. There's charts in here, but not pivot charts. And pivot charts basically allow you to take that data that's put together and create a chart from it. So we don't really have an equivalent for that in this version, but at least this gives you a little bit of experience of how to put together the basics of pivot tables.